Welcome to the Motivational Medium podcast. I'm Amie Gohery, a psychic medium, author, and the founder of the Motivational Medium Academy. On this podcast, we'll explore intriguing topics such as mediumship, psychic abilities, and the amazing idea that we all have intuition within us. Whether you're a believer, skeptic, or somewhere in between, get ready to unlock your extraordinary potential as we discover the supernatural world together. If you want your questions featured on the show, be sure to join my tribe by subscribing to my newsletter at amarielord.com. Let's go. Hello, Amie Gohery.
Hello.
I love that beautiful Irish name. Amie, welcome to the podcast. Now, I am absolutely thrilled today to have the beautiful Amie. She calls herself Amie Quantum because saying her surname is a bit difficult if you're not
no
Irish.
No one can pronounce it.
So, Amie, you say your surname for me.
Amie Gohery.
Gohery. Amie Gohery. You have to sound Irish to say it. There you go. Amie's a quantum healer, past life therapist who is based here in Perth. However, she sees people all over the world. And I am so excited today because, excuse me, but I actually didn't have a clue what a quantum therapist or quantum healer was. And I had the absolute pleasure of going and seeing, we've done it over Zoom.
We did, yeah.
Absolutely loved it. It was fascinating, insightful.
It was amazing.
Amazing, yeah. It took me days to get my head around it. It was like mind blowing, but we'll talk all of that later on down the track on the podcast. But today I want to introduce all my gorgeous friends, my listeners, to what is quantum healing and tell us more about what this is, this amazing modality and past life regressions.
I'd love to. Oh, thanks, Anne-Marie. So quantum healing, the modality that I'm trained in is called Beyond Quantum Healing. Now, this actually all stemmed from the very famous Dolores Cannon. I'm sure many of your listeners have heard of Dolores. So throughout my spiritual journey, I was trying to learn a little bit from everyone. And I obviously came across Dolores and her teachings. And in one video I found of her, she was talking about this modality that she had founded and created where she could connect people, ourselves, to that higher self connection, to those past lives, to our own souls, our guides, our angels. And I was listening, so fascinated, because she really structured her sessions around the healing side. So she called her sessions quantum healing. And it was through quantum healing that miraculous things happened. And I was like, oh, I need to know a little bit about this. And I was already really interested in kind of hypnotherapy and hypnosis. And I decided to learn it. So through doing my research, the quantum healing, the QHHT technique, which Dolores originally created, I wouldn't say it became outdated, but it didn't go with the times of technology. And so it was with Dolores's blessing and through one of her very first students, who then became a good friend of hers, that together they formed Beyond Quantum Healing, because it's kind of that new age modality which does align with technology. It allows for you to do your sessions via Zoom and things like that. And I knew I wanted to be able to do mine online. I've got lots of friends and family overseas, UK and Ireland, and I'm here in Perth. And I just knew that being able to do it online was going to be beneficial for me. So I learned Beyond Quantum Healing. And it's being able to we do an induction and we are able to take our clients into, it is technically a hypnotic state. But I feel there's a lot of misconception with hypnosis in the world. There's a lot of, fear mongering around it. Clients are still completely in control, but it's the client themselves that is living the experience. They have the direct connection. They are receiving the guidance in their journey of wherever they're going. And I am just simply the facilitator talking them through it and piecing together the jigsaw of past lives or their higher selves or whoever it is that needs to come through for clients. And every one of them fascinates me.
I can second that. Let me just go back a little bit because
Yeah.
you talked a little bit there about hypnotherapy and how some people are afraid of hypnotherapy. And I suppose, was one of them people. I actually went and studied hypnotherapy and NLP to do past life regressions and did that for a little while. Just wanted to feel into it and see
Yeah.
what happened because mine was all about life between lives. So even though it was on a past life regression, I was more focused on the life between lives bit where, where did people go? It was more for my own research, really, and to see where people went, what happened. And every single person described the same thing. Now, these people were from all over the world, and it totally blew me mind. So when I seen you, because I've known you for a little while now, but when I seen you were doing this and the beautiful Dolores Cannon, I mean, bless her, she's amazing, and
Some life. Yeah.
yeah. And if you get to read any of her books, my friends out there, please go and have a little look at these books. They're amazing. She's just such an evolved soul, shall we say.
Yeah.
So let's go back. So going into hypnotherapy, I always thought, like a lot of us did, you get on the stage and you act like a chicken. Now, can these people make me cluck like a chicken forever, or is it just going to be for half an hour? But I was totally in control when I
Yeah.
came to see you, and the healing that people get from this
Yeah.
is immense. It's like on a different level.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? And everyone experiences something different and everyone needs something different as well. And that's what fascinates me. I cannot wait to go into a session with someone because I have no idea what is going to come up. Where are we going to go with these sessions? Like the past lives are just, and I've even had people go into future scenarios as well, which has been so
Wow.
fascinating.
Oh, maybe I'll come and do it again and we'll go to the future.
Yeah, they're at a bit of a crossroads, and then, they're going down into scenario A and we're describing that. And how does that feel? Does that feel right for you? And they're like, no, like that's not what I want. So then we're like, okay, is it optional? And it's like, yes. So then I'll ask them to go down to their other option. And what do they need to get there? So even being able to do that
Wow.
with people, it's just absolutely amazing. But you are right though, the hypnosis side, I really hope that there is a bit of a breakthrough for people to lose the fear because you are not controlled at all. And you're also not asleep.
That's right. You're not asleep. You're just so relaxed. It's unbelievable. It's beautiful. It's like the deepest meditation you could possibly go on.
Yeah.
That's how I always feel
Yeah.
whenever I go and do some hypnotherapy with anyone. I always go because I used to always say to my friend Alison, I'm coming to see you. And she'd say, why? What do you want to go? And I say, oh, nothing. I just want to go in the zone.
Just want to relax.
Yeah. And it would be the best feeling ever. I'd just float out the house, feel like I'd recharged. It was great. But, we talk about the healing side of this. Can you tell me, is the healing done on a subconscious level?
Yeah.
So obviously, we talk about things that we store in our subconscious that can affect us in this life and this journey, or this journey we call life. But then, have we actually brought it from a past life? Have we brought it from this life? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So again, it will differ for a lot of people. So usually when we are talking, people will come to me with their problems, what they want help with healing, things they're struggling with, even physical conditions as well. Fears are another thing as well. And it really depends on, is that a past life? Is it somewhere from this life? And during this session, you'll be taken to the root cause. Where does this stem from? So I had a lady come to me who was really, really scared of the sea and the ocean. She had no conscious memory of why that was. And in her past life, she was in kind of like medieval times in a cave. She knew she was a witch in this life and she was hiding, and she had a tiny baby. Well, she'd had a tiny baby, and it was actually during the regression that we figured out her baby had been taken from her and threw out into the sea. And it was all of that trauma and that heartache and all of those awful emotions that she was feeling from that life they've continued. She hadn't healed from them. So whilst we were in this session, because we are connected to all of the higher consciousness, I will always ask, is it possible for my client to receive healing? Now, I have never yet done a session where the answer has been no. So I firmly believe, and this is what quantum healing teaches us, is that wherever you are taken to, it's because you're ready for that exploration. There could be millions of past lives out there, but you're not ready for those yet. You're always going to bring in whatever you need right now in this moment to best serve you.
Yeah.
And my clients were always told yes. And then I will let them just go and experience the healing. Now, usually at that point, my clients will just have a few minutes of peace. And I think we did some healing with you, Anne-Marie, as well, over various things. And I just like to take a step back at that point. And people will come back when they're ready, and they may have recollected seeing different colours or feelings of things. And yeah, they are literally receiving like energetic healing, that higher conscious healing for the souls, for themselves physically in this life as well. So it's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
It's beyond, and that's, I think, beyond the quantum. It's beyond what we can even try and grasp in this human life.
And that's what we try to do, don't we? If we put it into like, bring us back down for a second into this world, if we put it down to, a lot of us try to fix things, fix emotions, fix physical illnesses with the physical body, with the physical, what we have got. But this is beyond that. This is like, let's go that extra step and let's try and fix this, shall we say, with, in the subconscious mind, with energy. Let's connect to that universe.
And I feel like that's what we do always also forget here, Anne-Marie. We are so now disconnected with our true natural selves. We are energetic beings. Everything around us is energy.
Yeah.
The air we breathe, the water we drink, every thought we have is energy. And yet we are now just, especially in the Western world, there are many other cultures that they still really keep the ancestral knowledge, like Chinese medicine, the meridians and acupuncture. It works with the energy of the body.
That's right.
Yet here in the Western world, we are so disconnected from it. And yet we wonder why people are so out of alignment, why there are so many mental and physical health conditions. And again, we're missing the key. It's that emotional and energetic side that we need to explore as well.
Excuse me for a minute there. There's something I wanted to talk to you about. You know, when you talk about energy, and it's the energy we put into stuff. And in our Western world, we are so disconnected from that. Well, some people are, some people aren't. And I watched something on Gaia TV yesterday, and it was a guy called Dr. Fabrizio Mancini, something like that anyway. I'm not very good with names. But anyway, he wrote this book and The Power of Self-Healing. And he was doing this interview with the lady on Gaia TV yesterday. And he was talking about food and the things that we eat and the things that we do. And he said it's not just about foods that are bad for us. He said it's about the emotion and the feelings, so the mind, body, and soul that we attach to that type of food. So it says, like, say you have like an ice cream, and then you'll thoroughly enjoy that ice cream, but you won't go, oh, I thoroughly enjoyed that ice cream. A lot of the time, straight after that, people might turn and say, oh, that was a bit of a guilty pleasure. Wouldn't have had the ice cream. Sugar causes me inflammation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like all these things.
The shame and the guilt and everything of what you're eating. Yeah.
That's right. And that all gets stored again in the subconscious mind, which again can cause illnesses throughout the body.
It's like a cycle.
What you do with the quantum healing, does that help with that as well, would you say?
Yeah, it can with physical ailments. And again, it's knowing that what we go through physically is just a manifestation of what is happening in our world. Our physical bodies are just a container of them. And again, this is what I have been exploring so much. I had another lady come to me who had really chronic bladder issues in this lifetime, chronic since she was a child. Again, no conscious knowledge of why. And when we were in the regression, she was taken to this life and she was taken to her childhood, her early childhood, where there was lots of things that was happening between parents, and she herself, as a very, very small child, was having to contain and hold all of this stress and the emotions and the trauma of what she was experiencing, basically. And again, we're thinking of our bladder, it's that container, it's holding everything in. And because it wasn't worked through, and because this is how life is and we don't fully understand things, it stayed that way for a long time. And many, many, many years later, even into adulthood, this poor lady had like chronic incontinence issues. And it was all stemmed from this traumatic time and these emotions that she's holding. Part of her bladder, the place in our body that we're going to store these emotions, then becomes weakened with it. And again, when we were in session, we explored, is there anything further she could do? She was going through the medical system and it was confirmed that yes, that is the right path for her to do. But again, she received some energetic healing while she was in the session with me as well, just to kind of further help her in this lifetime with those issues.
Fascinating.
It's just so fascinating. And what you can uncover, the root causes of what you can uncover when you're in a session, you'll never get there with your conscious mind because it blocks. It's there to keep you safe.
That's right.
We're in our conscious mind between like 2 and 5% of the time. That's all.
Wow.
The most tiniest portion of our life, which in our daily waking moments, we feel like we're using our conscious mind all of the time.
Yeah.
2 to 5% of our experiences,
Wow.
and everything else is in our preconscious and unconscious mind. And through this work, I know that our subconscious is highly connected to our higher selves, all of our past lives, our souls, and everything that we need to know in this life comes from our subconscious place.
So let me throw something in there. If we are, because I, the work that I do as well with the mediumship and the connect, and there's something that I've discovered, and this has only been over maybe the last year or a couple of years. When I'm doing psychic stuff, when I'm sitting with somebody and I can tune into their energy, and that's how I get some answers for them. The same way that I found that I could tune into the spirit world. But what's been really fascinating is that I've found out that if there's like a mum or a dad sitting there in front of me, I can actually tune into their children.
Yeah.
And it's blown me away what the information that I've had. I've even had a child turn around and said to me, I'm getting all these tests for ADHD and I actually haven't got ADHD.
That's amazing.
I'm a highly sensitive soul, that's all.
Yeah.
And the parent in front of me is like, oh my God, they're actually getting tested at the moment. I knew they didn't have ADHD,
Wow.
but I went along with the system, if you like. So it's a very important role that we do. But where I'm going with this is, are we connected? We are all connected, a conscious connection. We are all connected. And I believe we can all feel each other's energies but how do we go past to a life that is past? How do you describe that?
Well, my understanding is because we all come here with our soul, and our soul chooses this incarnation and this life, and our soul is here for already pre-written experiences that it wants to go through. Our soul has been here. Now, I'm not a medium, so I'm maybe not the best person to explain this, but from all the understanding I have done on my spiritual journey, is that our souls are a million times over in a million different pieces, in a million different energies. So our soul is always connected to every experience that we have ever lived, to every energetic experience, to every loved one, to everything. Our souls are always stay connected. And so, yes, you are incarnated here now. I'm Amie, you're Anne-Marie. but your soul within you, that eternal body within you, is connected to every single experience and person, being and non-being, that your soul has ever lived and experienced. It doesn't forget, even though your conscious mind doesn't remember.
So why do you think then that if we have people like yourself, there we go, doing all the quantum healing and Reiki healers and, even mediums and people who are working within this energy field, it's becoming more and more acceptable now as the norm. Like I always say to people, my job isn't to prove there's an afterlife. Every single one of us will find that out one day.
Exactly.
But it's my job is to help you find peace on this life and learn from the learnings and not have to go through that again, if you like. So would you say your job as a quantum healer is to try and assist that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my job as a quantum healer, I am not doing the healing. It's the energetic connection. It's something that I can't even explain because my little mind doesn't understand how it all works. But I have been gifted the knowledge and the opportunity to be able to take people on this quantum journey. And yeah, all it is, like you say, is to assist and to heal, or to enable people to heal themselves,
That's right.
to enable people to the opportunity to get the answers that they're so desperately looking for, the guidance that they're looking for. Because again, I know we're talking a lot about the energy around us, but if we have a world where everyone is sitting out of alignment, everyone's in the lower emotions, everyone's feeling just so frustrated and resentful and angry, then that's the world we live in. And I truly believe that there is an awakening happening.
Yeah.
And again, through the quantum sessions I've done, I've had clear confirmation that we are awakening and we are here to start lifting ourselves and each other up. And it is through, like, the mediums in the world, it's through every single healer. And healer doesn't have to be spiritual. Our healers in this world are people that farmers who put food on the table.
Yeah.
They're the nurses and the doctors, they're the teachers in the world. There's so many different light workers in this world, and every little bit of good that they're doing goes to the consciousness and the greater good of the earth. But it is, at the end of the day, if you're in this field, if you're doing something like this, it's to help the evolution of humanity. It's to spread the love and the peace.
That's it, to spread the love and the peace.
It is, yeah.
And, I remember when I came to you for now I've never said this, so I want to be careful because I don't want to totally go through everything that happened.
Yeah.
But what happened unexpectedly for me and you, especially me, was I started to channel.
Yes.
And now I know people will go, well, isn't that what you do anyway? You're a medium. But this was like, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
It was totally unexpected. I've never really channeled before. That is not necessarily true, but I didn't actually know that this was channeling.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a session with a guy, a mediumship session, and the person that he came to see was actually, she worked in the spiritual field and she passed when she was quite young and she was very knowledgeable and she used to channel. And then next minute I took on her energy and I started talking to him about this stuff and he was like, I think he was as shocked as I was. And we've done it a couple of times since, but it was like, no, I don't think that's for me, sort of thing.
Fascinating.
I totally didn't expect it to happen in a totally different way that it did when me and you sat down together.
It was a very clear, very strong channeling connection that you were in. And it was for quite a long time, Amber. If you remember, it's about 45 minutes.
Wow.
Even to the point, and again, this is what amazes me with the sessions, is I was so engrossed in all of the knowledge and wisdom we were both gaining in the session that here I was just letting it go. And then it got to a point where it was like, oh, like it's now too much for Amrite, the energy, you're getting exhausted and tired.
Yeah.
And that was acknowledged. And actually what I love is that connection was then stopped because for you, it was getting too much. And that's what was a great learning for me, because I had never had someone go into channel for such a long time. I have channeled my higher self, but not for the length of time that you were in Channel 4. So great for me as the facilitator to remember my client is still Anne-Marie sitting in front of me, to keep that checking in, keep making sure you're okay. Because when I first had my experience under quantum healing as I was training, I was not aware of the energy, how strong it can be. And I was so hot. I was like a furnace and I felt like I was going to be sick. Now, people can sometimes be sick. You can also need to use the bathroom. It's kind of clearing. It's a way of clearing.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. And I didn't even know if I could say anything because I didn't want to break the connection. It was so fascinating. And again, now I know because I've had the experience of how it can feel. It's the energy. And we can very respectfully ask when we're in session, you know, my client's feeling your energy a bit too strong. They're starting to feel sick. Can you tone it down, please?
Yeah.
And it will always be respected because whatever connection we're making, it's always for the client's greatest good.
It's funny because the few days that followed that, I felt a little bit wiped out.
Yeah.
I listened to the recording back, and one of the things that I kept saying was absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because my husband said to me, it was not long ago, he said to me, I've never heard you say this before. He said, but you keep saying, yeah, absolutely, Mitch. So I've sort of took on one of their sayings, which is quite funny.
It was fascinating. I know it was. But as well with the energy side, though, I did another session with somebody, and again, hers was again very healing, very clearing. And afterwards, she became so unwell for probably about 2 weeks. And she's a very spiritual person as well. And she absolutely knew that
Absolutely.
it was just all of those trapped and stored emotions. Everything she needed to clear was literally physically clearing itself out of her body.
Yeah.
And it did. It took her a couple of weeks to get over the session because they are just so powerful and can be so transformative for people.
But you know, this is not to be afraid of, because
No?
I want to say to people as well, you know, you're not going to feel really ill for days and days later. You might do, but if you know what it's about, then that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's not uncoincidental. As long as you know and you trust that whatever
Yeah.
you're clearing is everything that needs to shift,
Yeah.
embrace it, let it go with love,
Yeah.
accept it. And it's almost that empowerment that you have knowing that this is almost going to start a new chapter for you. It can actually be like a really, as I say, transformative time. And not everyone feels sick, don't get me wrong, not everybody does. But as I say, I think those really highly sensitive and in tune people feel things that little bit more strongly anyway.
Deeper. Yeah, I think so, on a deeper level. But it
Yeah.
was great that you recognized that I was getting tired, and you kept tuning in and saying, you know, but the information that we were getting, I remember, like, I won't talk about the whole lot of it, but I remember a part of it which made sense to me because I actually felt like that when this was happening. You know, we talk about people becoming awakened to what life is all about, really. And I know there's a lot of stuff like on the woke and things like that, and I won't ever go into any of that. When we went through the COVID era, which we all went through, doesn't matter what your beliefs are, we all
Yeah.
went through it. And I got this feeling that there was a space where certain people would go, and it was the neutral space.
Right.
And I felt like people would sit in a place of anger, because there was a lot of anger. And then some people were sitting around a lot of fear. But I kept going and doing meditation because it was the only thing that I knew for certain. And I kept sending out love. And, you know, you've heard of Joe Dispenza, and he said in one of his books, I can't remember which one it was, and he talked about in one of his books about a group healing around the world. And all these people did this group healing at the same time around the world. And what happened was, in them countries or in them areas at that time, there was less crime, there was less anger, there was less this, and this. Obviously, it was a controlled experiment, so they could figure out all this kind of stuff. And that just kept coming into my mind when this was going on in 2020. And I just kept saying, all we've got is love. We've just got
Yeah.
to put love out into the world. So I just kept saying my prayers. I was just tried very hard, but very consciously, to stay within that zone. And where I'm going with this is, when we did our quantum session together. And when I channeled them higher masters, I think I was calling them. Yeah.
Ascended masters.
Ascenders masters.
Ascended masters,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's something I don't even use. That's not a word I would use. But these ascended masters, and they were talking about how we needed all to be putting love out into the world.
Yeah.
Because the damage could possibly have been done by fear and by anger. And
Yeah.
that to me was fascinating, from what we believe. Now, if you're listening to this and, this isn't me trying to convince you to believe a certain way. This is just our opinion on the area in that we work and what we do and what happened to me when I went to see Amie for this quantum healing session and how fascinating it was. And while I'm just saying this, I will say all Amie's details will be in our show notes. Please have a little look at what this is all about. Amie's amazing at what she does. You guys know I will never recommend anyone unless I have been there, done it myself. And honestly, she was fascinating at what she does, and I will be back.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I can't wait to do it again with you. I can't.
I'm a bit nervous to see what. There we go. But we also, quickly, let's talk about, we also did a past life at the beginning of mine. Oh my God, I was there for hours, but it felt like 5 minutes.
You so clear. I'm looking at the note. It was like 1927. Like you were just so specific. It was just mind blowing.
I know, it was like
Every single member's family names, you were just reeling them off to me.
it was so amazing to do.
And how similar was your lived life with your past life connection, like the parallels in it, Anne-Marie, even the names and just everything. And it was like, wow.
It was.
And again, it's coming back to knowing that whatever you're going through in this life, there's a reason. There's a reason. And I know that can be so hard for so many people to hear that, but it is for that evolution. It's for that the growth of your soul. It needs to learn these lessons. And what I'm learning through doing these is that everything that someone is sitting in front of me, going through and dealing with, it's a karmic lesson 9 times out of 10. And so when we regress and we go back to that time and that place and what was going on, and we're learning that not everything was learnt in that life, that karmic, though it has to be brought through, there's still growth that needs to be done. And that's why you're experiencing it again. And again, Anne-Marie, just going back to what you were touching upon, the answers are always love.
Always.
And I know that can be so hard for people to hear because people feel hurt and they've been let down and there's anger and frustration. But when you're sitting in those emotions, you're not going to be growing and evolving. The answers have to be love and forgiveness of self and for others. And that's again what I've been told repeatedly in all the sessions that I have done with all the channeling, and whoever has ever come through to me, it is always the same message.
It's love.
Yeah, it is. It's love. We're not here for the lower emotions. But do you remember in your session how the Ascended Masters were talking about how funny humans are because of our kind of deep connection with emotions? We feel our emotions so strongly, but it's almost we use them in the wrong way. We sit with our emotions, we sit with the anger and the fear of the experience rather than looking at the experience as a lesson and what was it sent to teach me. Because when you're looking through those learning eyes, the emotion subsides and then you can actually learn from it. And that's how you grow. So that was something I always remember. Some of that wisdom is just how humans use their emotions. And sadly, we don't always use them in the right way. We let it be
destructive.
Yeah, it is. It's destructive and it stops us from living our best lives.
Funny, isn't it? Because I remember there's a couple of things I want to say about that. I remember seeing Tony Robbins in 2018, and we were in an auditorium in Sydney, and there was about 8,000 people there. And he came on and he said, life happens for us, not to us. And I remember thinking, no, all them bad things, my mum dying when I was 27 and she was 47, that didn't happen for me. I could feel this anger starting to rage within me.
Yeah.
Anyway, obviously I went on and done the 4-day seminar, and I've read so much and well and truly gone down the rabbit hole I've even wrote my own book
I know, amazing.
on gratitude and stuff. And when I look back, would I have chose that to happen? No, not in a million years. But what did I come out of the other side of that? I became a palliative care nurse. I went on and done my nurse training and became a palliative care nurse. I worked with some of the most amazing people that I ever got to work with. Now, through the palliative care training and nursing, I get to be like, I'm a medium, so I get to work with people who are in absolute bowels of grief,
Yeah.
you know? And I'd also got me and my family to Australia. We now live in Australia. So did life happen for me at the time? Absolutely not. However, it does, and it did. And there's a lady who I interviewed on my podcast. She's beautiful. She's one of Tony Robbins's right hand ladies. Sarah Lindley, her name is. And Sarah, unfortunately, when COVID and everything was happening, she got diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. And she even says the horrendous journey that she went on and survived it. My gorgeous friend, I'm so grateful for her. And she's just had her 5-year clearance of acute myeloid leukemia. And a lot of people don't go through that. But if you listen to the podcast and the recording of when I interviewed Siri, she believes hugely that life happened for her. And if you listen to that podcast, you'll see how she took something so absolutely horrendous that happened to her and how it changed her life. Sadie's an absolute amazing human being, and how she's used her pain to propel her forward in this life. But with you, Amie, you're also an amazing person, and you talk about with the quantum, you can help us propel things from past lives or even
Yeah.
this life that we're holding on to, so that we can find that peace in this life.
That's exactly it. And for me, the reason and the way that I started with all this was again going through these horrific experiences. So my stepdad just had a massive cardiac arrest and he died within 5 minutes of waking up in front of me mum. And up until that point, Anne-Marie, I wasn't very spiritually awakened. Now that I know more about everything, I know that I always had those kind of qualities within me, but I wasn't on this big spiritual path by any means. And it was like that catalyst of this happened. And then me and my mum both together really have been on this journey of this massive, rapid expansion. And it is what you would call a spiritual awakening, where everything has just been enlightened to us and we just understand everything so much more. I used to sit there saying, oh, there's no God because if there was, these bad things wouldn't happen. And my husband's been with me for like 13 years. I was only 20 when I met him. I was quite atheist when he met me. I was like, no, there can't be anything out there. I didn't even believe there was anything just beyond Earth. Like I was actually quite closed-minded, I suppose. And then it's just like this catalyst has happened and just these doors have opened and this spiritual awakening has just happened so strongly. And it was out of this grief that we were going through. But was my stepdad dying a coincidence? No, it wasn't. It was all pre-chosen and written to happen. Our soul contracts were already in place. And this is my firm belief from everything that I know. And it's now with his guidance, he's very much with me, has led me to even do this work. So it's just fascinating how it happens, but we can plan and plan and plan all we want in this life, and things will happen for us because that's how the universe works.
And I always say to people as well about worrying, what we worry about, the majority of the time doesn't happen. And when things do happen that do change our lives, like what happened to your beautiful stepfather,
Yeah.
come out the blue.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's like the tower card in the tarot. It's like it is, you just cannot prepare for it. It
No.
comes out of nowhere
Yeah.
and it will change your life.
Yeah.
But like you say, the worrying, you can either spend your time manifesting the positive, or you can just be bringing all the negative into your life if that's what you're continually going over. And you do have control over that. You know, I very much aligned with you, and the mindset and the gratitude. Like, we do vibrate and we do definitely surround ourselves with where we are. Where are our thoughts? The social media side. What are we encasing ourselves in every day? We can definitely have control over that, but there is so much more out there that is going on beyond our control.
Can I ask you one question? You know, I've never really had this before, but if I was to say to you, because you were so closed down, and yourself confessed, I was like closed, I was done, I was
Yeah.
an atheist even,
There was nothing.
nothing out there.
Bad things wouldn't happen if there was. Yeah.
There you go. Would you rather be in that zone or would you rather be in this zone?
100% in this zone. I am like a different person. I am a different person to who I was even like 2 years ago before Cole died. I had quite a lot of anxiety around things. I was just quite a ball of like controlling stress. And to be honest, I really have struggled a lot with Australia. For as beautiful as it is, I felt terribly homesick for a decade. I always wanted to go back. The heat, I just always hated the heat. And every summer I'd come round and I'd just be, oh, I hate it here. But I was just infusing myself in that world. And no wonder I wasn't, kind of living my best life with it all. And it's only been in the last 2 years. So we're now at the end of Feb. So we're just coming
Yeah.
to the end of our summer here in Australia. And it hasn't been too bad this year. I'll give it that. But for the last 2 years, since I have just had this life changing mindset change, I haven't struggled with the summers. If anything, I've embraced what they can give me, make every moment with the kids. And it's the mindset. I don't have anxiety anymore. I have been able to fix relationships within my life that I had struggled with for years and years because of my own expectations and my own ego, which is such a word that people hate us to use. But actually, we all have that ego. And I always wanted to be, people to see things from my point of view because I'm doing it right. And all those lovely qualities that no one wants to admit for themselves. And since I have learned so much, like I've gone down the rabbit hole with everything. I have soaked up every bit of information I can. And I know that I am not here to do that for anyone. And this is something that came up in your session, Anne-Marie, when the Ascended Masters were talking to us. We are not here to stand on our soapbox. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
That message?
Yeah.
And although that came from such a high place and the
Mm.
context was a very higher level context, however, when we take that into our personal life, no one needs to stand on their soapbox and look at or judge anybody because, again, everyone is going through something. And even if people are going through a seemingly really lovely, beautiful, everything's perfect for them life, well, perhaps, but that might be exactly what they need in this lifetime because you don't know what they have gone through before. They could have been in hell, and now is the soul's time to experience a life of love and ease and peace. So we just can never judge anybody. But when you take away the judgment, when you take away the expectations, when you take away the ego, and you just let things be,
Just be.
just be as they are. And if that person's having an aggy time, just let it go.
Let it be.
Let it go. Yeah, so I just feel like I would never, ever, ever want to go back to living in that closed-minded, closed-down state. And again, I don't really care if people align with what I say. My husband thinks I'm mental with my hippie little ways, but he knows the change that I've gone through,
Yeah.
and he's just like, if you're happy, go with it. So yeah.
Isn't it beautiful?
And I don't try and take him with me because he's not there, but I accept that he's not there with it. And I see the changes in him as well, but not quite on the same expansion level as me, you know.
But that will happen.
Who knows? Who knows? But I'd never want to take myself back to where I was. Never.
Good, good. And I feel the same. I struggle sometimes to remember the old me, the fear of what people would think, the fear of what people would say. You know, it kept me so sheltered.
Yeah. The spiritual closet. I've heard you say that.
Yeah, I would not come out of my closet. I was like, I'm happy in here, live in here. There's no one in here. No one can judge, you know? But you know what you talked about there? And it's exactly like what you said. I don't think we need to shout this from the soapbox. You live a different life, and the people who are in your circle, we become who we are.
Yeah. And who's around us? Yeah.
That's right. And I remember, I know I spoke about Tony Robbins before. I remember going to see Tony Robbins in 2018. And on the Sunday, just before we all leave, he says, don't go home and tell anybody about this event. I'm going to tell everyone. And he said, you just live the learnings that you've made or you've discovered within yourself, really.
Yeah.
And the power that you've gone, this is you. This is who you're always supposed to be. This is you. And I bought my husband a ticket for the following year.
Right.
And my husband's always used to say to me, I'm not like you. You know, I don't do all that shit. You know, I'm not like you and all this. And I was like, okay. So I bought him a ticket. And when I come home, he was like, how was it? And I went, yeah, it was really good. And he said, do your feet burnt? Because we walk on hot coals. And I said, no, they're not actually.
Wow.
It's amazing the power of the mind. And anyway, that's about all I said. And then I got on with my life and I lived my life from this totally different place. And he could see that. Do you know the following year, he didn't know I bought him a ticket, by the way. And the following year, I said to him, I'm going back to see Tony Robbins. And he went, oh. I said, do you want to come with me? And he went, yeah, okay. And I said, okay, I bought you the ticket last year. And he went, how did you even know? And it was so funny when we go to do the hot coals, walk over the hot coals. As we were walking outside, he just looked at me and he went, oh shit, Amie, I'm not like you. I'm going to burn. And honest to God, he's so changed. My son, he says to my son, I'm going to interview him on the podcast because he's lived a lot of this life with us, really. And he's studying now in his fourth year of psychology. And he's such an evolved soul, you know, he's amazing. I want him to get a younger perspective on all this.
Yeah.
And he says, the most changed person, mum, is my dad. And he
Oh.
always says it, you know, and he
Yeah.
says it's just amazing. So do we have to shout it from a soapbox? I don't think so.
No.
I think we can just live our lives
Yeah.
and just love and be kind
Exactly.
and try our best because we're not superhuman. We're not angels. We're
No.
not saints. We just try our best.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as well, certainly when you're on this journey and you kind of learn all these learnings, and I know I do, become so kind of caught up with, you know, am I on my right path? Am I doing this right? And it's almost that kind of like you're just analyzing everything. And I have a really beautiful friend who's very intuitive, and she often talks to me and does lovely energy healings with me. And again, it's just that resounding confirmation that as long as you are living your life and the things you're doing come from that place of love, it's never going to be the wrong choice, you know. And I often go to, you know, because I'm raising two young children. My son is not quite 8 and my daughter's not quite 3. So they're very young. And I'm always second guessing and questioning myself in motherhood. And am I teaching them the right things? And she has said to me, you cannot even be doing this wrong if you are coming from a place of love. And no matter who you are or what you're doing, if you are doing it from a genuine place of love, it's always going to be the right thing for you and the right thing to put out there in the world.
Do you know, isn't that funny? When my kids were little, I used to say to them, I love you. And I was always conscious to say, I love you. And I used to say to them, you know, if you'd have anything else in the world and it all goes to shit, I love you. And if you love, like with a big heart like that, love can fix everything.
Everything.
And I honestly, genuinely believe that.
So do I.
My life was going to shit at the time, but it was like, you know, but I wanted to just come back to that scenario, if you like.
Mm.
We learn a lot from our parents, good and the even better. I don't want to say the bad, because what we learn, we grow from.
Absolutely.
So someone said to me one time, if you blame your parents for something, this was the hardest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
Not from personal experience, but it said, if you blame your parents for something, then you've got to thank them,
Yeah.
because that situation or that scenario made you into the most amazing person you are today.
Absolutely. And again, I think we always need to remember, and this is again so hard for so many people to even understand, let alone accept, is that we have chosen this life. We have chosen our parents, our siblings, we've chosen the people we know, we've chosen the experiences. We have chosen it. So, although you could have a really terrible relationship with your mum or your dad, if you come from it with that place of love and acceptance and those teachings of what it's given you, it's all been for a reason. We can't understand why, but you've needed to go through this. You have chosen to go through this. And like you say, you have to give thanks for that because it is bettering you.
Yeah.
You are growing from it.
Sometimes it's really, really difficult, isn't it? There's some horrendous things that happen in this life.
Horrendous. And I'm not saying that anyone should stay in those horrendous circumstances. Like,
That's right.
absolutely not. Part of the growth is
Getting out of
the
it.
realization, and the strength to pull yourself out of it or to physically remove yourself. It's the strength, the empowerment, and it's also moving forward as a person who still loves and can love, rather than being a person who copies those awful behaviors and just plays it out again. You know, if you're moving forward with a place of love, you don't necessarily have to say you love that person who has done it for you.
That's right. No. Or forgive.
Yeah, no, but just give love to yourself for what you've learned. Give love to yourself for the strength.
That's the most powerful.
Exactly. Move on in that way.
Yeah.
You should always give thanks to yourself and thanks to the circumstances because it's always been given for a reason.
Yeah. The hardest thing, I think, is when people think they have to forgive someone, and it's not about forgiving. It's about deciding, I'm not giving you any more of this energy, my beautiful energy, whether it's anger, whether it's fear, no matter what it is, it's still your energy to give. And if you decide, I don't want to give that anymore, then that's you taking your power back. And then you work on however you're going to make that happen. Whatever it means, whether it means going to therapy, whether it means going to speak to somebody, whether it means going and doing work within yourself or doing quantum sessions with the likes of yourself, Amie. But whatever it is, if you make that decision, I decide. As soon as you say that, it's a choice. I decide. I will not be angry with you no more. I will not give you my hatred. I will not give you my anger, my fear, because that is an energy. And I decide not to give that to you no more. Take power back.
And if you're constantly sitting there feeling those feelings, and that's what you're going to be surrounded in every single day. So like you say, let it go. Just let it go with love and just empower yourself. Because again, if you're not going to learn the lessons in this life, it's going to come back again.
The only thing is we won't remember it.
Well, that's true. Sometimes I look at people and I'm like, I have definitely been with them in a past life. Like, this is a karmic lesson that I'm going through right now.
Right now, yeah. We won't remember it, so that's a good thing. There you go. Amie, I've loved chatting with you today.
Oh, thank you.
There's some great stuff that we talk about. Obviously, we're not psychologists or psychiatrists, and this is just from experience of our lives experience, really, and how we've got through. Well, mine is how I've got through some of the crazy situations I've found myself in along this journey we call life. My whole 58 years of it all, I think I am there. Yeah.
It's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster, yeah. But the one thing I found more powerful than anything was when I choose. When I decided, you're not getting my anger no more. You're not getting my energy. And it was so liberating. And then it's not like, oh, you choose and then it disappears. It's like you choose and then you think, okay, now I've got to put the hard work in.
Now I've got to actually do the healing. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the
Yeah.
journey that a lot of us don't actually walk forward in. So, my friends, I have loved you listening to this today. I hope you've loved listening to the beautiful Amie as much as I have. All Amie's details on how to book in with her will be on our show notes. I will definitely have her back on the show again. I've loved our session together. And yeah, if you've got any questions that you want to put towards Amie, where can we find you, Amie?
The best place really is my Instagram. So I am now just known as Amie Quantum. Amie, I know you'll spell it out, Anne-Marie, is Amie. I have to spell that every time. So Amie Quantum, just send me a message. You can book in. I do have my website link on my Instagram as well, but I'm not very much of a Facebook user. So try Instagram over Facebook.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, if you want to have a go and do this, or if you've got some healing that you think or something that won't shift,
Yeah.
like Amie talked about the lady with the constant bladder issues, if you want to have something going on like that and you've tried everything else, then please contact Amie, have a discussion with her, and she's amazing at what she does. I will be going back and seeing her again.
Can't wait.
And yeah, me too. I wonder. Well, I know our Ascending Masters will come in again. Be interesting to see what they've got to say. And you never know, this might be a different path that I might be taking.
And that's it. Yeah, your session could be completely different next time, Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
So there's never too many. You've had so many lives and experiences to go through. So
Yeah, interesting. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
thanks, Anne-Marie.
Amie, thank you so much. And thanks for everything you do for everybody. You're a true earth angel.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you, darling. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you listen today. I hope you've enjoyed it. You can always contact me, Anne-Marie Lord at annemarielord.com. You can email me, or you can go to my Instagram, Anne-Marie Lord, or my Facebook, Anne-Marie Lord. And I will talk to you all soon. Have a great day, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this show. It's important to note that while I'm here to inspire, encourage, and guide you, I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or a doctor. Join me again in 2 weeks for more captivating revelations on the supernatural. Remember to be in with a chance to have your questions answered on the podcast. Subscribe to my newsletter at annemarielord.com. Stay in the tribe to vibe. I appreciate you guys. See you next time.